Sounds good.
Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome back to Unicorn Talk. Heal Unicorn today. And
Unicorn Chronicles.
and we have a very interesting topic for you all today. Or for y'all today, depending where you're coming from. Yeah, I like that one, y'all. So the topic for today is you're not in your body. And the body you're wearing is just a suit. Now, where do we go from here, right? I guess I'll share. I'll start with where this topic actually came from for me and how and why it came out today. I spend my mornings, most part of my mornings, listening to some deep thought provoking lessons and topics and conversations. And today, the one I was listening to is about when your loved ones pass away. We've all heard that when your loved one passes away, they are all around you, they are with you all the time, right? Now, also, if you believe in reincarnation, then the question comes to mind as like, how can those two coexist? How can you be reincarnated, be in this body, and yet be around pretty much your whole lineage, right? Everyone that is related to you at the same time. And the answer to that is because you, as a soul, you're not in your body all the time, right? Most of the time, you're out of your body. And the example that came to mind for me was like driving or doing a task, like washing dishes. For me, that one is a huge, like when I'm washing dishes, I find myself dreaming and being somewhere else. And this is the moment where basically I am not fully conscious and aware of where I'm at because I am somewhere else, right? And then you can snap your fingers and bring yourself back into the moment, but you're still not fully there because energy itself, like the way that I kind of like, I've had, I guess, visualization of how energy looks and how I might appear like solid matter, how the grass might appear. For me, it started with the grass, like looking at the grass has its own shape and it's standing there or waving in the wind, but that's just my eyes telling me that's how it looks. And the way that the grass actually looks is tiny, like for example, like picturing these lights, that these lights is what makes a tiny little cell of the grass. And there's a lot of these lights, so it's like tiny little speckles, almost like of dust, and they are literally everywhere. And it doesn't just stay on the ground, it kind of goes everywhere. And that's how we are as well, even though we look like we're solid matter. And if we really, this is how we believe we actually look when we look in the mirror, when we look at ourselves in the video. But in reality, that's not how we would actually look. We would look like energy, which is the way that I've seen it, is like tiny little speckles of flickering lights. And that's how we're able to be everywhere simultaneously and yet be here and wear this suit. So, who's next?
Well, while you were talking, something kind of came to me, because not only that, I feel like our essence, right? So like our love and everything, like all of those are like eternal, and there's not any lack of it, right? It's constantly, there's more and more and more to come. So I feel that when we are in like a space of love, or those people loved us, it kind of imprints on us. And that could also be why we constantly feel those people around us, because we feel the essence of that love they had for us, that energy that they had for us. And again, Especially I would say like when we're in that spiritual like connectedness like to everything around us, we can give off that energy more and feel it more to everyone around us. And I feel that because it's the same with negative energy. Negative energy is going to linger, it's going to stay, that essence of it, especially let's say if we're back in like a place where something traumatic happened, or and we could say maybe thousands of years ago a war happened in that area, we're gonna feel what those people felt. And especially for empaths, I feel like all of us, we feel it a lot more than other people. We feel that pain, we also feel the love. I remember when I went to Cambodia, I'm not kidding, I really feel that I was possibly in a past life in Cambodia. Um, and I just felt so much love there. Like something washed over me, which was so crazy because not even 40 years ago they had like literally this person killed half the population, right? So there's a lot of pain and suffering in that country. However, all the people there are very loving and kind because they want to, I guess, fill up that vibration to and not let those past become who they are now, which I think is really like good for us because I don't think we believe that we've had, some people don't believe that we've had past lives. And so when we feel a certain type of way and say, oh my, but like Bethany was saying, when you're feeling some type of way towards something, like I have a fear of heights. Why? I don't know. I have no idea where it came from, or my fear of snakes, all of this stuff. Like, why do I have that fear towards these things that I've had no negative experience in this life with those things, but I definitely probably had a very bad experience in some other life that I have had, and I'm bringing it to this life. And just like our last episode, it's cutting those cords, right? It's cutting them and saying like, I no longer associate with this. I'm no longer allowing it to manifest and control me and create this fear or any type of thing. But yeah, that's what kind of came to me while you were talking.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned, what I was telling you, but I don't think we had it recorded.
Yeah, no,
so
sorry.
I will go. No, it's okay. I was just like, well, I'll put the context to what you were saying.
Yeah.
So in a past life that I've felt, I would watch shows and there'd be like someone getting stabbed in it. Or when I was younger, my brother would play with knives and he would like play around with me around them, and it would always scare me. And I'd be like, oh, get away. I don't like knives. And I kind of lived through it, like growing up. That's how I still felt. And as I want to say a couple months ago, maybe at the end of last year, I finally meditated on it and came to the realization that the whole stabbing thing was from a past life. I believe one of my past lives got killed by being stabbed or something with a knife. And once I had that realization, I was able to finally release, and like you said, cut that cord and be like, okay, well, that was in the past. That's not something I want to bring forward to this life that I'm living now. But it brought clarity to kind of why I felt that way. And when I meditated on it, that my higher self was like, yes, that's what happened in a past life. You were harmed in that way. Cause like, I would watch shows and like, if someone got stabbed, I could like feel it. Like I could almost feel it. And I'd be like, well, this isn't happening to me now. Like what, what's going on? Like how you're saying with Meagan, with the fear of heights, like, it's like, well, I've never had an experience with that. But being able to like meditate through it and then cut that cord and have those realizations was like, okay, well, I feel at peace and at one with myself now. And now when I watch that kind of stuff, it doesn't really even faze me anymore. But I kind of feel like those things come up because it's like those past traumas that you like inherit from those past lives. And are you going to work through it this life, or are you going to leave it for your next life, to work through it then? And I chose to work through it this life. So then it's not one of those cords that I have attached.
Yeah, and I wanted to also add that the attached cords that we might have from our past lives don't necessarily have to feel in a negative way. The one that really pops up to me is the one when being drawn to fire. Especially being a woman, and not is see, for me, I don't fear fire. Like, the reason why I say that is, when there was hunting of the witches and they were being burned on fire, they weren't scared of the fire. They weren't scared of dying, because fire was something that they actually wore themselves. They were the fire, the dance around the fire, they connected around the fire, they found their soul family around the fire. And very few of us are actually, there was something that Meagan, you were talking about, the connection, the soul connection with other people, and that reminded me of finding your soul family, and that very few of us are actually lucky enough to be born with our soul family, right? Brother or sister. And when you meet them, you know that they're yours. Like, you feel comfortable and safe being vulnerable in any situations. Like, you can talk about everything and anything and there's no fear there. That's a soul connection. And we collect those soul connections throughout our life. And we do feel connected with them when we are not in our body, and yet we are in our body. And finding them, it's not that it completes us, but I don't know how to explain it. Like, I feel like you ladies would also know what I mean and might be able to kind of add to what I'm trying to say here, like how we feel when we meet that soul family. It's not the completion, but at the same time, it does feel complete. Like, you
kind of feels like a aha, there you are.
Yeah, like the right place, right time. Like, you feel a sense of balance. Like, this is supposed to be, I guess.
Yeah, and it's part of what I like to refer to as spiritual awakening. When you start to awaken, first you go through what in my experience was one of the worst experiences and yet one of the best. And that experience is called loneliness. When you feel completely and utterly alone, even in a room full of people. And I wanted to say that out loud because I feel like there will be some people who are listening or watching that can resonate with that. And it feels like this is the end and nobody gets me, nobody understands me. But the first soul sister that I found, I no longer felt alone. Is she here with me now? Not physically, but in spirit. She will always be here with me. Physically, she's in a different country. All right. And that's the thing. Like, now we're able to find our soul family all across the world, anywhere. And then when you were talking about stabbings, I remember having a conversation with a complete stranger, talking about birthmarks and how birthmarks can actually be evidence of our past life, of how we passed away.
And I have a birthmark on my stomach where I would feel that pain.
So does my daughter. She has a white birthmark right on her stomach. And she asked me one day, Mommy, is this how I died in my past life because of this spot? I mean, she was, I think, 5 or 6 at that time. And I mean, it was an interesting conversation. But essentially, it came to, it's possible.
Yeah. And I feel like it's because of that attachment we have to that experience that we bring it to us, right? So even I've kind of said this, or my thought, it's like people that are born without a limb or anything. It's like, well, you're probably so attached to that limb that you lost in that past life that you're bringing it to the here and to the now. And that's why it didn't form or it didn't develop, because you're still holding on to it in a past life. So again, hopefully in this life, you can let go of that. So then moving forward, you can, come out and not have those marks or carry whatever you're carrying with you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And then when you were also talking about, go ahead. And when you were talking about fear of falling, I know I've worked through that myself, because I've fear of heights, sorry. I worked through it myself because I used to, I still do have that fear of heights. I think most of the population does.
But back to that, mine's more of a fear of falling, not of heights. Because if I'm secure and safe up there and I feel it, then I'm okay. But mine is the falling.
See, for me, it's also fear of falling from heights. Mm-hmm. Why? It's because I've also meditated and I came to an awareness that it was from my childhood. Because I used to climb trees, like I kid you not, I would find the biggest, tallest tree and I would climb to the very top. I don't know how my parents kind of even didn't have a heart attack watching me do these things. But also I remember climbing smaller trees and falling from them and coming home with a black, bloody eye and a bruise on, like a horn growing on my head. And that's when I started to have a little bit more fear of falling from heights. It didn't stop me, but that's where it started. But as a young child, I took that fear like it was meant to be used. And I used it as, that's what I'm doing now.
Dude, you just opened up something to me. I feel like now I know where my fear comes from. So when I was younger, I want to say I was maybe 6 or 7. And I was the same as you. I would climb everything. And we had a tree house. And for some reason, the bottom part of our tree house was like enclosed. But the top of our treehouse was literally just a platform. And then we had a wall behind it. And on the other side of the wall was like businesses, like the back of the businesses. But we would always like climb over because there was a dumpster on the other side of ours. And I remember one day I was climbing the tree and I went to go grab a branch and it broke. And I fell and tumbled and fell off of the treehouse and landed on my neck. My mom like rushed me to the hospital. They took everything, nothing, not even a scratch, not a bruise, nothing. Thank you, angels, for looking out for me. Thank you, appreciate it.
For the angels, those angels that are always around us, that little ball of speckle lights, the energy that's all around us, the people that yet reincarnated living as someone else, and yet they're still attached to you, and they were there when you needed them.
Mm-hmm. But I've loved it because I've always faced my fear of heights. I've always tried. I know when I was younger, it still really bothered me. Like if I would see like my cousin stuff jumping off of, a little bridge into the water, I'd be like, nope, no. And even to this day, I still have that like thought, like if I'm, cliff diving into a river, something like that. And I'm like, okay, Meagan, I know it's scary, but you'll be okay. You just saw like 5 different people jump in and they're all good. Like you can do this. It takes me a while to get my courage up, but I always try and face my fears and be like, you're doing it.
Yeah. Okay, I'll share something. And if my mom is watching,
sorry.
Sorry. But not sorry. So when I was young, my parents would tell me, don't go to this lake. People have died there, right? They've drowned. Don't go to this river because it's fast and people would go under and they can't get out. So the river was the most exciting part for me. Because then I was able to, with my friends, we found that there was a bridge that was going over this river, and it's a dark river. It's pretty wide. I also saw a lot of people jumping in, and I knew it was deep. Now, the way that I had to do it, because I had to be the best and the toughest, and prove myself to everyone. But yet, I was actually proving myself to me because wasn't even looking at these people. But I climbed on the railing, which wasn't tall enough, and then there was a light post, and I climbed on the light post as high as I could, and then jumped into the river from there. And I just learned how to swim not too long before that, because I almost drowned. This was maybe a couple of months before that, and then jumping into the river, and I think that was the last time that I actually jumped into things. Because when I was jumping, and I don't really remember much, I just remember jumping and going into the water. I did not get hurt. I didn't go under. I swam and I got out and everything, but I just remember that moment going into the darkness because the water was so dark, and then feeling something that I didn't know what it was, and now I do as a mother. Fear for my parents, fear for my mother not having me if I was stupid enough to do that. So after that jump, all I did was just watch everyone, and I was like, I think I'm done. I think I'm done risking my life in such ways. And I think if I remember correctly, I might have been just 12 years old at that time. And from that point on, I stopped jumping. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, so I have this fear of falling, but I don't know where it came from. And I have not had an experience like you guys. And I've been writing down because I'm like, why do I have a fear of falling? Because the thought of jumping out of an airplane to do skydiving, no, I have no interest in that whatsoever. Never, ever do I ever want to do that. Not for me, no. And I don't want to push past that limit. I really don't, because it's just not my thing. But the more I think about it, I think it might be learned from other people, like hearing these stories of, that what happened to you guys and me taking it on and being like, oh, well, that happened to them. I don't want that to happen to me. So I'm not going to do it. So I'm going to say return to sender because it's not mine. I don't, because I've been trying to pinpoint a time where I would have jumped, and there was one time that came up. I would be with friends and we'd climb on some trees and we'd jump into rivers, and I would do that. But I had that fear behind it, oh my gosh, what if there's rocks there? But I would still do it, and then my swimsuit would fly off me because of the impact onto the water. But I don't know, I couldn't put down a moment where, oh, well, I did this and then this happened. So I think it's more of a learned, seeing we had a friend that jumped off a bridge and then he got paralyzed, just seeing other people's encounters with it, and then me placing a fear on it, okay, well, if I do that, that's going to happen to me.
Yeah, it sounds like learn knowledge.
Yeah, that's what I kind of wrote. Learn from other people, not my own. Because I don't.
That's what also happens when we over-educate ourselves.
Yeah.
When we become, how I know Meagan, how Grace Lever talks about in The Doer's Way, talks about taking massive and perfect action. And what that means to me, what I've learned is that the more time, and those of you that are entrepreneurs, coaches, or starting a business, listen really closely to this one. The more time you take to learn about a subject before you take action, the harder it will be. the less likely you will be able to do it and want to do it, because not only are you learning about a subject, you're also learning of the possible outcomes of that. And the more you know, this is where there's a phrase like the less you know, ignorance is bliss. That's the one. So in this case, ignorance is bliss. The less you know enough to go and do it. But the more time you spend to learn and learn and learn, you're also going to learn on the other side of what could possibly happen, what could possibly go wrong, and prepare for what could happen, which adds to this, to the physical sensations of the body. And then you will most likely be less likely to go and take that action. You'll find something else to do that will feel a lot more safe.
Yeah. Now that makes sense when you're saying that, because I think that's what it is. It's like me just like over educating myself on it, hearing personal experiences like, oh, well, you got hurt, you got paralyzed, you could like, well, I'm good. But I don't know, I still don't have the desire to go skydiving. But that's just me. Yeah, I mean, some people are like, yeah, I love it. And I'm just like, well, that's good. Good for you. Teach his own. No.
Yeah. I'll listen.
Can I throw a wrench in here real quick? I wanted to ask you guys, so back to like reincarnation and stuff. One, do you believe that we reincarnate just here on Earth, or do you believe that there are other planets and solar systems that we go to? And second, do you believe that we kind of like maybe signed a contract and said, oh, I'm going to do 200 years, or I'm going to do this many cycles, or do you believe that like we like have the intention of like, hey, once I get to like this point, then I'm done reincarnating? Or like, how do you think there's a point where we stop reincarnating?
I feel like yes. And the reason for that is because every soul wants to experience every experience possible. And it can take a lot of lifetimes. And when I say lifetimes, to answer the other question, as it sounds like it was a three-parted question,
it was.
Is that because it would be extremely naive of me to think that this planet is the only one that has life and that we are the most advanced species in the whole entire universe. It simply cannot be true. I know that there is a lot more to it, and just the sheer thought of it excites me and terrifies me to the bone. Like I feel it in my bones when I say that there is so much more out there. Like if it takes us 20 years to get to one planet, how many other planets can we get to in another 20 years and another 20 years? And we continue to explore space and find new things in space. Now they're saying that there's as many planets that have life as there is the grains of sand that we have on all beaches combined. And just like the sheer thought, when I heard that, I went into a mini like panic attack almost in a way, because to me, it hit home that I'm so small and insignificant in comparison to what's out there, and how dare I waste my breath on petty little things that don't matter, and that I'm wasting my breath and wasting my life by not doing the things that I actually desire most, that will not only benefit me, but benefit the human kind, the human race, one person at a time. So does that answer your question?
For me, I will be honest, and I don't know. This reincarnation topic is something I've never, like past lives, I've dabbled in it a little, really haven't touched up on.
What does your intuition tell you? Like
my intuition wants to tell me that I don't know. I don't know. It's something that I just really not have like really put any thought on. I've never meditated on it. Yes, I did on that little bit of like with the past life once, but once I figured that out, then I kind of just like, well, whatever. I guess the more that I think about it, I feel like there isn't like a number of like, you know, I don't think there's a limit of how many times we reincarnate. I like how like Yana was saying with like what your soul purpose is, like, or like what you desire to do. Like, I feel like you will keep doing it, but at the same time, I feel like it's ongoing, like it's never ending because we're limitless.
Yeah.
You know, I wrote down a quote that I like to say to myself when I am feeling really like ego driven, I guess. It's like, I'm not my mind and body, but I'm the space behind it. I'm the energy behind it. And energy never ends. It never can be canceled out. So I feel like we're just an ongoing, you know, like cycle as it goes on. But what was the first part of your question? If it's just on Earth, right? If it's just like this one realm, I guess the more I think about it, I feel like there are other realms that we go to. But yeah, that's kind of all my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I would also add when you were talking about unlimited, I wrote down unlimited number of experiences. Like, think of a number, and I'll give you another number, and you know the infinite.
Mm-hmm.
That's what comes to mind, that we have infinite number of experiences that we as a soul can experience, because I mean, just because there's so many. I can live your life, Meagan, and I can live your life, Bethany, and then I can live my life, and I can live a dog's life. And there's so many different experiences just living as Meagan, and how many different lifetimes in the same life, and making different choices. And each choice leads to another outcome, another experience. And that's why it's infinite. And I don't believe there's such a thing as a contract. And I know many people have said, and I know I've heard it many times in the movies and stuff like that, talking about that this right here, what we're living in, this is hell. But I'd like to say that what we're living right here and on earth, this is actually heaven. Because only in heaven are you able to create things that you want most. And we all have that ability to create. We are the creators. As Greg Braden said, from the research that he has done, he found a message in a really old scripture saying, God internal within the body. So God is internal within all of our bodies. And this message has been hidden and kept safe for many, many years. And it's actually in our DNA. That's where it was found. And God is known, I mean, God has different names. It means different things to different people, right? What it means to you doesn't mean the same thing to you, Bethany, or to you, Meagan, or to you, whoever is watching or listening. If you want to share what God means to you, by all means, go right ahead, but we're not getting religious here, okay? We're going to keep the religion out of it, since this is more of a spiritual talk. Mm-hmm. So thinking about God is the creator of all things, right? God created earth, God created us, God created all animals, created all of these things. And then to now have this truth from how many decades ago be brought out. And now we know that we are the creators, that we have the power of God within us, so to speak. Then why not think about Earth and our experience on Earth and our life as this is heaven? And then when you pass, you don't go to hell, you don't go to heaven, you reincarnate, right? You go into another world, because you're born as a different person, or not necessarily a person, another living, breathing thing, which could also be grass,
Yeah.
right? And you get to experience a whole different thing, and you are living in a different world. The way the ant sees and understands the world is, I mean, I remember I smoked a little too much that day. I smoked a little bit too much marijuana that day, and I was cutting grass, and I saw ants, and I was just like, I don't know how to explain it aside from I felt like I almost became an ant, and seeing the world through the ant's eyes is a completely different world. Completely different world. They don't even like, the ant doesn't see the sun, doesn't see the moon. They don't know what it is.
Mhm.
They're living their life intuitively. And they're not lost. They're not confused. They're not disoriented unless they're poisoned by the humans.
Interesting.
They've invaded them.
I feel like we are all ants as well.
Very insignificant when I was talking about just how much is out there, and like looking into space and just looking at images of space. And there was a space show that I watched with the kids. I remember just crying and looking into space, and like this feeling like this is where home is. And at the same time, this is where home is inside of us. It's in our heart. It's not where, where we sit, where we live. Home is where we are.
Yeah.
So a little too much. I feel like sometimes I get a little too much and a little too deep, a little too philosophical, where I have this voice that I shut off, because the voice that tells me, oh my God, Yana, turn off the crazy. Turn off the crazy, or at least tame it down. Don't tell them, don't share it, because people will, because you'll be alone.
Embrace your crazy, man.
Yeah,
And the
that's what I was gonna
crazies will
say.
come to you.
Embrace it. That's
Crazy is just a word. We define it how we want to. So
Yeah.
if we create crazy as a great word, then crazy is a great word. It's what we make it.
It's
Just
like
with
with the
life, like you said, we create it. Either it's heaven or hell. I don't believe that earth is either or. I believe we create it how we want to. So we can either see this earth as a heaven, or we can see it as a hell. And obviously, many people on this earth who might be in the governments or whatever, they want you to see this life as hell, right? So that you're not going deep within, and like you said, that hidden message, God is within us, it's not external. And kind of talking about our cords, right? Like last episode, we're constantly seeking outside of us when all of that knowledge and wisdom is within us. And even like this, I feel like deep down we can ask ourselves, hey, do you believe in this? And not just saying, oh wait, I'm not going to believe because the masses don't believe, or because the government hasn't told us that there's life out there, all of this stuff. What do you truly believe? And I know we're not going into religions, but when I started learning about religions, it brought such like an aha moment to me, because learning about all these different type of religions and their messages and everything. And I remember I came across like Buddhism, and that was one that really resonated with me, because it was the first one that really kind of talked about reincarnation and karma and all of those different things, and got you on more of that very spiritual aspect of things and looking within ourselves. And I really loved the message that it tries to convey to you of, again, not looking without, not looking for God up in the sky or all of this, but looking within, because you have it all within you. And again, if you have a religion, that's okay, no problem. We all need something to believe in and everything, but it is hard when you constantly believe that this external factor is going to help you and going to give you that love and that joy and that happiness and all those things. No, I mean, it can help you on that path and help guide you to it, but you need to look within because it's always going to be there within us.
Yeah.
So,
I know religion was actually created by men.
Mm-hmm.
And the purpose of religion that was created by man is to give hope, to help people to have faith. And the purpose for the religion
mhm.
in every culture was to help people. But some people have turned that around and used it to their advantage. And it's the greed that has done that, and twisted things around because and made it more in a way that it helps um, certain people, right? And it does create separation, like you said, Meagan, where you're looking outside of yourself for approval, for help, for support, for answers, for validation, for everything. You know, you're looking outside of yourself to talk to God. But back to that message, God eternal within. Why would men, and that's why this message has been hidden, why would men need religion if they knew that it's within? When you were talking,
Divide and conquer.
about the government, they don't want us to know just how powerful we are.
And how connected we are to one another, right?
And we feel each other's pain. Whether we label ourselves as an empath or a narcissist, we still feel other people's pain. Just one has gotten really good at turning that around and benefiting themselves and continuing to hurt the other one.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas the other one, the empath, feels the pain and takes it into themselves to in hopes of helping you to not have it. But that's not really how it works. Right? The pain is still going to be there. And we can take all of it onto ourselves, and we are the ones that can end up hurting ourselves more, and the other person
Yeah.
still has to work through it.
Since we're on the topic of religion, something I've constantly kind of come to this realization, right? So with religion, it being a man-made thing and it talking about heaven and hell, right? So, oh, in this lifetime, you're either going to go to heaven afterwards or hell. And it gets us to not live in the present moment and be so conscious because we constantly are thinking that happiness and joy is going to come after this life instead of, again, creating that heaven here on this earth and like creating that. And it's like you can create it now, but you are being controlled by these people that want you to be controlled and don't want you to, first of all, be connected to everyone and everything. And two, because again, you won't be productive workers for them. You wouldn't be making them money. You wouldn't be complying and needing to have a 9-to-5 job all the time and finding your purpose and loving your life. Right now, we are robots. We literally have merged into becoming robots because we are always on autopilot and we are constantly just in this these actions, right? We're never thinking about what we are doing or what we are saying, and that is being mindful and being present. We are constantly just going through the motions, never questioning why we're doing this, never questioning, is this really what life is supposed to be like? No, it is not. This is not what you are supposed to be doing on this earth. And the fact that so many of us all around the world comply with these systems and with what is even going on right now in the world and complying with what they want us to do is crazy to me. Instead of us logically thinking about all of this and thinking what is going on and banding together and being like, no, you have no control over my life. But again, we want to control everyone. They've gotten us to be like, I'm going to control you. What you do with your body, I have control over it. No, no, no. I have control over my body. Try me, please. I would love for you to try and control my body because I will give you hell. I will fight back, man. But that is what's going on right now. And, it's on this spiritual journey. And again, you can be religious and going on a spiritual journey. You don't have to give up your religion at all. Stay with your religion. Religion is great. It gives you that community as well. But you can also do that spiritual path, which that spiritual path I feel is just, again, connecting with yourself and learning yourself and filling yourself up with that love, that joy, and letting go of anything that no longer serves you.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up that you can go on a spiritual journey and be religious. Because I've had quite a few conversations and a few of my clients as well. Because one of the things that I've noticed that I, slowly trying to figure out my niche, and I feel like I've gotten there. The people that I have noticed that I work with are the ones that are on a spiritual awakening journey. So this is one of the struggles that many of them actually face. How can I be spiritual when I was brought up and raised to be religious, and the religion no longer resonates with them for their own different reasons, and there's a lot of guilt and shame that they are working through, and how can I exist with the two together, and they always find a way how. Because spirituality and religion, they are very, very similar. They're not the same, but they are similar. The biggest difference between the two is one teaches you separation, which is religion, and the other one teaches you that you are one, that you are connected, that your neighbor, no matter how evil they might come across, is you.
Yeah. Can I clarify one thing? I feel people might. So with religion, it's not that they are separating you from everything, but they're separating you from other religions, right? So it's, again, us versus them. So I'm Christian, I must be Christian, and I hate Muslims, or I don't like Muslims because they have a different God. Yet apparently there's only one God, so I don't know how there's 100 million religions, but anyways. But with that, right, it's closing you off from all groups of people. And even though the Bible and whatever always says, like, love thy neighbor, okay, but don't love thy neighbor that's Muslim or Christian or Catholic or any other religion that's not yours. So
Not
I think
just,
clarifying that, yeah.
nowadays it's not just a religion anymore.
Mhm.
It's also your preferences.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
How do you identify yourself? And if you identify yourself as something else, then you're not welcome here.
Mhm. Oh, everything, right? It's the color of our skin, what country we are from. Like, we've all been programmed to believe that we are so different from one another. And that's why I've loved traveling, because I realize that we are all the same. We all do the same exact things, just
Yes.
a little bit different, just a little bit, but about the same. They go to work, they use the bathroom, they eat food, they hang out with their friends, they go to their religious whatever. Like, we all do the same thing.
Yeah, we do. Exactly the same thing. We have the same emotions, the same feelings,
Mm-hmm.
suffer the same way.
Yeah.
We have same thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
We have, like, what really separates us?
Yeah. And I say like that too, like, if you can't find anything to connect with someone on, guess what? You can always connect that you are human. That you are human, you are connected with that person. And that's all you need. That's all you need to have in this way of thinking to connect us, is that, And that too, we have a soul. We are humans. We are going through this life.
Mm-hmm. Bethany has been a little quiet and taking some notes.
Honestly, because the topic of religion, it's a lot, because I grew up in a strong Christian environment where when I grew up, we had Christian TV. We didn't even have like regular TV for a while. It was Angel TV, and it was just everything Christian. My parents, we went to church every Sunday, like it was a really big, like high Christianity home. And this is something that I've struggled with before, because when me and Brian got together, he was complete opposite. Like, sure, he learned stuff from Christianity, but he wasn't like where I was. And as I grew up, I guess I kind of got out of that, like how my parents were with it, because I saw the separation with religion. It's like, well, I believe in God, but I don't believe in the religion behind it. I don't believe you have to go to a church. I don't believe you have to give 10% of what you make in order to be, like to be in good standing, because God is limitless and God is universe to me. And as I became with this my spiritual awakening, I have seen the benefits that I've learned from religion. Like it showed me that when I'd pray, I was manifesting, and I didn't realize that, but really I was manifesting. Every time you pray, you're manifesting. Right. And so I realized, like, wow, I've manifested my whole life and I didn't even realize. It also brings people hope, which I do see that, like you guys were saying. But I guess I was a little quiet because when I do share this video, I have a lot of family that is going to probably come down on me. And so that's why I was a little quiet, because I have never really expressed these things like this, I guess. See, and it's hard to talk about, because my family is big into Christianity. Mm-hmm. Like I had my oldest brother hit me up and be like, because I'm into Kundalini yoga, I'm into learning about chakras, yoga, and all that stuff, and like the law of attraction, manifesting. And I had my brother come to me and be like, well, that's of like the devil pretty much. Mm-hmm. And I had to kind of end the conversation and be like, that's how you feel. That's not how I feel. A lot of my stuff is to uplift people, encourage people. And he was talking about my positive quotes and poems as well. And it's like mainly there to uplift the population. It's not because I feel a certain way necessarily. And some of it is because it's stuff I've worked through and gone through and learned and grew through. But religion to me is just separation. I don't agree with it. I like with God's, like, I don't know. It's one topic that it's I guess it's kind of hard for me. I'm more like spiritual now. I still have my beliefs. And I learned a lot from the Christianity, but I don't believe that that's all there is, and I feel like I was more brainwashed in a way growing up to being like, this is the way things are. This is how you do it. And it's like, no, I don't have to be like that. Like I can still have a fulfilled life, be a good person, and not live along those lines of and their views on certain things. Like for me, my one of my brothers, he's gay. Now with Christianity, that's a no-go. It's like you are sinning, but it's not a sin, in my opinion, because it's who you are. You should be able to express your unique self and be that person that you're meant to be. And if you're supposed to like the same sex, that's just the way things are. And yeah, I've not really been open. So this is the first time that I'm really opening up And family, I love you, but hey, I have a strong mindset, so
Yeah.
please bear with me. Because I've had one of my uncles, totally like shut down and not even want to talk to me and over stuff like this. And like he used to like, and I feel like some of it's coming from like where my brother was when he hit me up, and it was more about a place of love. Hey, I'm watching out for you. But it's like what I'm doing is working. It's helping me as a person. And just because I don't believe like God, heaven, hell anymore, like it doesn't make me go down into a deep place of suffering for the rest of my life. I'm not I'm not into devilish things, but I feel like a lot of the times, like when you're with religion, that's kind of like, that like keep saying like the separation, and I don't like that. I don't like the separation of it. So
have you ever set up boundaries with them and like just say, hey, religion is off the table, like we are not going to talk about that anymore because it creates conflict, and for our relationship, I love you, but we do have different views and beliefs, and I appreciate you like looking out for me, but we need to stop here because I don't want to damage our relationship just because we have different beliefs now.
Right. Well, see, I'm not around my family like that. I'm 2,600 miles away from them. So I don't have these conversations a lot with them. Like they probably don't know how I view things necessarily. It's just, and
they do now.
Right. Yeah. With my older brother, it was more like, I appreciate you looking out for me. Thank you. But, I'm okay with where I'm at.
Yeah. That's good. That's a good way to go.
Because I could have been like, oh my gosh, like, what are you saying? Like, because he sent me some videos and I just didn't agree with the videos. It was trying to say that law of attraction is the new like devil or demonic thing. And it was just this random person with a YouTube video talking about their opinion. But I was just like, I don't see that, but okay. Like, that's your opinion, I love you still, but it's just not mine.
Yeah. I wanted to say thank you for speaking up and speaking out for yourself and saying what you want to say. That right there is definition of a unicorn, being yourself. And yes, you do experience fear when you speak your truth, but that's how it feels when you speak your truth, especially for the first time, for anyone and everyone to listen and watch. It's scary being yourself all the time. So I wanted to say thank you for doing that. And I have a question. Why do you think I came up with this Heal the Unicorn call in the first place?
I feel like it's to work through our shit, like, go dig deep and talk about the stuff that makes us unique. And because like really like me stepping away from the religion has what blossomed me into who I am today, and into like everything I do and my routines and rituals. And I'm grateful because like, yes, like I got some good, I guess like morals through it, and I learned a lot, and I was able to take that with me, and I'm grateful for it. But I like my spirituality now. And I wouldn't be able to do that without being a unicorn and stepping foot and just being like, hey, this is me. Like,
I agree. I think it's about sharing our beliefs and being unapologetically us, and not giving a F what other people think, because I'm gonna be me and you can take it or leave it, and I really don't care which one you do.
Right. It's really about paving the way for everyone else to be themselves. We don't show up as ourselves in any given situation, and even on topics like this. That's why I remember when I mentioned my little monkey chattering, saying crazy, crazy, don't say it. That's the voice of a horse that tries to keep me as a horse, because this horse was conditioned and taught to live a life in a certain way and fear things, whereas we were not born to live in fear. Remember when I mentioned when I was young, I would feel that fear, and to me, it would be it was like a call. I guess in the previous podcast we're talking about these strings. For me, when I would experience fear, it would be like that string that I see, and it's like, ooh, this is new. Let me go check it out and see what's in there, and I would follow it. Fear does not, like, bravery does not exist without fear.
Yeah.
And the way that we can help and remind everyone that, all of us are unique. All of us are magnificent unicorns that have been conditioned, that have been programmed, that have been taught to conform and be a horse. Some people want the visualization of sheep and the wolf, right?
Yeah.
Or gazelle and a lion, whatever comes to mind. We were not meant to be living a life of conformity and being told what to do, especially with our bodies, like you were saying, Meagan.
And how to think and what to believe.
Being told, this is like how children are raised. A lot of children are raised being told what to do, what to say, how to do it, how to say it, how to really be. And if you step outside of that, you would get punished. And that is how this conformity bubble is created, where people that step outside of it, there is going to be fear. Because when you're stepping outside of it, you're stepping into your own self. You're stepping into your own being, into your own body, and saying, this is me. And it's going to feel scary, and it's going to feel uncomfortable the first few times you do it. But then it gets easier with practice. But what will happen if you continue to stay in this bubble of conformity? What do you think will happen, ladies?
I have to leave now.
Oh,
Sorry. But it was lovely talking to you guys.
Yeah, it's great to have you.
Talking to you as well.
Thank you for being my upcoming inspiration, Meagan.
No problem. I'm here if you need me, man. All right. Bye, beautiful unicorns. I will see you later.
Have a good day.
We'll see you next time.
Yes, ma'am. Bye.
So I guess that question is left to you as we are wrapping up.
What was it? Repeat your question real quick.
The question was, what do you think will happen if we stay in that bubble of conformity and not step out into our own self?
Well, the conformity will continue, and there won't be people expressing their truths. There won't be the black sheep, as they want to say. I love being the black sheep. I'm the black sheep out of my family, and I love it because I'm the one that stepped out of the conformity. And I feel like because I did that, the possibilities are endless and limitless. And it's just like, oh, like I have so many choices, and being in the conformity like makes you feel small and like you don't have choices, and you just got to go with what's being told instead of coming up with something new that could change, the world. You never know.
What you're describing is freedom.
Yeah. There's freedom outside of conformity, like conformity, and then freedom. Freedom is like the anabolic term for conformity. Yeah.
I agree. And I'd love to hear from everyone listening or watching. What do you think will happen if you stay in that conformity bubble and you step outside of it? I know from the teachings that I have listened to, the lessons that I had done and followed and learned from, all of that leads back to unlimited potential, unlimited options, unlimited choices, unlimited living, unlimited life, which at the core means freedom. When you feel like you're going to disappoint someone, that's not you living in your own light. That's you living in their light. And therefore you do not feel free, you feel attached.
Yeah.
Once you know yourself, once you know your truth, and you question things that come into your life, into your field, into your truth, when you question them, and you don't take everything as this is true, you question it. But when I say question, I don't mean you end up having an argument or a fight over it. It's just you questioning it and seeing how true is that to you and for you, and what does that mean to you and for you, right? That's that. So as we have hit the top of the hour, I wanted to ask, do you have any closing comments, remarks, thoughts?
No, but I did. So I wrote a poem, and I want to end it with that because I just feel like it, and I will be releasing it at a later date, but by this time, actually, it will be released by now when I share this one. But anyways, so go after your gains. They will not drain. They will train, uplift, and defend.
I like that. I really like that. That's stepping outside of the bubble. You can't get that inside the bubble.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because you are very limited in there.
Yeah, when we were talking, that's when I was quiet. That's what that came to mind, and I was like, okay, I want to write this out. But also some of the other reasons why I was quiet that I expressed already.
Mm-hmm. No, and I want to say thank you for opening up and sharing. And I feel like there might be a few too many people that might resonate with you, right? That might hear your story and sharing your experiences. I know there's always a lot more to it. There's always a lot more because there's only so much you can say in a couple of minutes. But if anybody, I mean, I don't know if you're comfortable with people reaching out to you, if they feel like they need to talk to you now, right? You
that's
can.
fine. Yeah, because if I could help, I mean, I came from a place where, like I already described, where it was very conforming, and me stepping out of that was just like freedom. It was, and it's hard to express it all in words. But if you've experienced that, then you know what I'm talking about, and I'm here if you want to have a conversation.
Awesome. So thank you. This is where we'll wrap it up and say thank you, Bethany, for being here. And then if Meagan is watching it back, thank you, Meagan, for being part of the show. I know you had to hop off. Next time we'll keep more to the times. We get really excited and passionate and go a little bit over time. So thank you to everyone who is listening or watching, for being here with us this whole entire time. As always, please let us know what was your biggest takeaway from today's conversation, right? And if it was more than one, go ahead and put it down. right? Like Bethany likes to journal. Maybe that's something that might work for you as well. I know everyone that I've worked with, that is exactly something that has been extremely helpful in the healing process, especially when it comes to spiritual awakening, because it is a long process. It doesn't just happen overnight. The awakening does actually happen overnight, but it takes time to get there, to actually awaken. And then the journey, that's where the journey like really, really, really begins. But it begins the moment that you're actually born. And it is a challenging one. It really is. And if you find anything that has resonated with you throughout this whole conversation, please reach out to one of us, right? I'm going to be putting Bethany's information and Meagan's information down below. So please don't hesitate and reach out and connect with one of us. And we'll see how we can help you out. But other than that, like this video, share with anyone who might benefit from it, or on your social media as well. That will be extremely helpful for me. And the bell notification button.
Subscribe.
Hit it or touch it just ever so slightly and gently, so that way you will be the first one to know when I do upload this video on here. But other than that, I think that was all the shameless plugins for for subscribing to me. And other than that, I think we're good.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I am so grateful.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Well, I will talk to you soon.
Thank you. And bye, everybody. Until next time.
Bye. Until next time.